Hey guys, I'm Gary Bernier, Whiskey Sommelier. I have the grand pleasure of being here with Steve Ray, also Whiskey Sommelier, my teacher at the Whiskey Marketing School. And Steve, you've picked out a bottle for us to give a try too, and something you want to tell people a little bit about.
Yeah, this is the Ardbeg. It is a 19-year-old whiskey, and they call it the Traigh Bhan. That's kind of Gaelic, but and I hope I've pronounced it correctly, but it really doesn't
I
matter.
screw that stuff up all the time.
But you know what? I had the wonderful pleasure of going to the island of Islay, which is off the coast of Scotland. It is part of the Inner Hebrides Islands. And my wife and I went there and we spent a week on Islay, and we toured a bunch of distilleries. But the beautiful thing was we stayed in the Laphroaig View B&B.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so it's kind of just outside the gates of Laphroaig. And Laphroaig is the first of the 3 whiskey distilleries along the coast,
Right.
just outside of Port Ellen. And so there's Laphroaig is the first one, Lagavulin is the second one, and then Ardbeg is the last one. And so we walked it, and it's about a mile and a half between each of the distilleries.
They're that close.
Yeah, they are that close. So the beautiful thing about Ardbeg was that we had already visited Laphroaig and we'd already visited Lagavulin, and we were thinking, well, this will just be the tag-on one at the end. But as we're walking towards the distillery, all of a sudden there was this slight smokiness in the air. You know, like a campfire on a cold night in a neighborhood that maybe in the fall, and you haven't smelled anything like that before. Well, it was just kind of that little, just kind of tickled your nose. And as we got closer and closer and closer, we could smell it more and more deeply. And it was beautiful. And by the time we got to the distillery, it was also mixed with the angel's share.
Oh, nice.
So it was the true smell of the whiskey that we ended up pouring out of this bottle. And it was spectacular. So let me pour you some, shall I?
Sure.
Okay.
Steve's poured us a little of the Ardbeg, and as we talk about, there's the whiskeys you like, and Steve and I share this one. So Steve, what are the notes you're picking up?
Well, first of all, you get smoke. Okay, so smoke is the predominant nose that you get at the right off of the get-go. But one of the beautiful things about nosing a whiskey that has a strong smoky flavor or has a really strong smoky nose to it is that it is always the barrier. All right, and what you want to do is you want to walk through that smoke barrier, because on the other side you're going to get things like honey and orange and vanillas, and all of those things are past the smoke. So you take your first nosing of the smoke and you get a little bit of that, okay? But after your second nosing, you barely smell the smoke at all right? So,
and Steve, for those that haven't gone down this road and have been turned off by sort of the smoky nose or, that bonfire-y smell, when you're talking about pushing past it, it's because the taste doesn't necessarily reflect.
No, it's nothing. It's nothing. You get it initially, but there isn't really much bad about smoke. It doesn't. Some people think that it's going to mask everything, all of the smells, all of the flavors and everything. But all it does is it really just enhances it. It makes it more complex. And one of the great things about whiskey is being patient with it. Patience is a virtue when you're drinking whiskey or nosing whiskey, because it takes a number of times. Hello, how are you? I'm just fine. Thank you very much. Would you like to sample it? So what we're wanting to do is, right now, I can't even smell any smoke now.
No, I'm smelling the ocean.
Exactly. So there's saltiness in there, but there's also a beautiful, beautiful butterscotch. Can you smell the butterscotch in it? It's a sweet smell, and you don't expect that from a smoky whiskey. But that's one of the beautiful things about, and the complexity of an Ardbeg or a Laphroaig or a Lagavulin is what is past the smoke. Once you go through the smoke barrier, what are you going to find?
Let's do that. To you,
Sommelier.
Oh, that's good.
So there is smoke on the first taste. Once it gets to the tip of your tongue, you taste that. But once it gets back into the back, now we're getting the aftertaste. Okay, and one of the beautiful things, again, the patience in drinking whiskey is waiting for all of these flavors to come to you. And so, a little bit of licorice there. Did you get the licorice? Okay, that's some of the things that I got. But
Well,
beautiful.
and the second sip will bring even more flavor than the first sip.
Absolutely, because usually what happens is just that little bit of whiskey on the palate. It kind of, at first, the first thing is that your palate kind of rejects it, and it says, well, that's so harsh. But the second time and the third time, and every time you go past that, you're getting more flavors all of the time. So look for them. Move them around in your mouth. Move the whiskey around in your mouth so you get them. You get different receptors firing, and you get so many different flavors. It's just wonderful.
Awesome. Steve, thanks for sharing this with me and our viewers out there. You gave them lots of tips about how to enjoy any whiskey, but to Ardbeg.
To Ardbeg. Cheers. Slàinte.